Welcome to our final block of Innovators plus Social Good. We're going to have a fireside chat with my friend here, Carl Settles. And as we take a seat, I want to give you all a little bit of context. The whole day has been specifically tailored to be able to drive and incite action. If you recall my friend Kalu James, who was on the stage, that story is true. I did actually, he actually did motivate me to quit my job, and now we have this. But I will say that that song that he sang was very powerful because it's not about just inspiring action. It's actually doing it, and it's actually doing it within the community. And it's about sharing that action within each other so we can learn from each other, because not everything's successful, and that's okay. That's just part of the process. But the more we encourage each other and the faster we iterate, the more change actually does happen. So the reason that we're here on stage is that we've been learning a lot through this whole, I guess, year-and-a-half process of creating what initially was known as the Social Good Summit of Austin to now the rebranded Austin plus Social Good. When we started Work From Home Day, we had this idea. It was crowdsourced, and I put my foot in my mouth, and I told Hugh Forrest, Director of Interactive at South by, that we would have some results that following South by. And I was like, oh, crap, what did I do to myself? We actually have to show that we've actually taken what we've done in this community, in this event, and provide action. So that became the first Work From Home Day, and that became 10,000 cars off the road. So it was a miracle that we made that happen, but it was really not so much of a miracle. It was the engagement of the community saying, yes, we like that idea, we validate that idea, we want to be part of it. Now, the theme of today's event is me to the power of we, and the reason I bring that up is if I try to do it all by myself, I will fail. But when we all commit to working together around this larger vision, there's a higher chance of success. And we realize that my success isn't based just on my own actions, it's based on the collaborative actions of everyone else. That's where real magic and sustainable change actually does happen. Therefore, me and Elijah sat down, we brainstormed with the rest of the teams, like, oh my God, guys, are we really gonna try to do another work from home stunt? And we said, no, we're actually gonna empower the community who's already doing amazing things out there and let them prove to everyone else that they deserve that support. So we created the first Social Innovators Fund and Fast Pitch, and that happened 6 months ago. We made the call, we invited people, it was a hard selection process, and we then asked the community, we're raising $5,000, and we're just gonna give it to somebody who we think is gonna be worthy of this money. That is a big feat, to ask a community to give something towards a cause and to a person that they don't even know who is or what will they do. But it worked. And so we raised that money, and we had our event last Social Good Summit in September 24th. And we had these 6 panelists six finalists rather, come and compete on stage and convince the audience why they were worthy of that $5,000 for their social enterprise. Carl Settles here, who is the founder of E4 Youth, was the winner of that, I guess, contest, as you can call it maybe. It sounds like a reality show, right? But Carl ended up winning. He got the support of the community. So I wasn't there, but my friend Elijah was. I was in New York. And he told me that you moved the crowd so much that they had no other choice but to vote for you. So I congratulate you.
Thank you.
But I just want to give everyone a little context of what E4 Youth is and what has happened since 6 months, because here's the goal. We want to keep each other accountable. Otherwise, if we just keep doing this and we're just giving random money to people, then this is not going to succeed. So we're here in front of the community, letting people know what we've done. So E4 Youth is a nonprofit organization that's focused on helping generally all young kids, but specifically been working with kids in the community, inner city community of minority descent, learn the creative crafts and be able to bridge that gap between those who end up being able to get a job in the creative industry and those who don't. You want to add a little bit more context to E4 Youth?
Well, I would say that it's really about students that get exposure to the arts get better grades, that graduate more, they get better jobs, they volunteer in the community, yet access to minority students has been in decline for the arts. A lot of my support comes from people in the advertising industry, which they have a diversity issue in advertising. And it's really about helping those students identify early on, before they make their decisions about where they're going to go to school and what they're going to go to school for, to have insight into the commercial creative arts. I grew up a very Huxtable-like existence. My dad was a psychologist, my mother was an accountant, and I was a musician, but I didn't know that I could make a living as a creative person until I got into my 30s. And then it was difficult to make that lateral transition. So if you're dealing with students that are not even in the middle class, where do they have those relationships to get that exposure? So we're about bridging that gap and giving them a discernible path forward into a career. And that's the big focus.
Simon Sinek wrote this book, Start With Why. So I just want to have Carl go into that process, and we'll talk about what he actually went through to get that $5,000. But why start E4 Youth? Truly at the heart of it.
Well, I mean, I think I spoke to it a minute ago, but I spoke to somebody from a very prominent entertainment organization here in town, not South by Southwest, but I asked them, so do you hire like high school students for internships? And they were saying, no, we don't do that. And then he thought about it, he goes, well, my nephew did come and stay with us for a week, and they got to see how all this stuff worked. And the thing is that our students, a lot of times, don't have those types of relationships. Whereas students that are more affluent do have that type of network. So
you call it cultural capital.
I do call that cultural capital. And it's a sum of all the people you know and the things that you've experienced that makes you more likely to be successful. So it's not that one student is smarter or more talented, just one student has more access. And so the why is, in my hypothesis 6 years ago when I started this process, is that if you take these students and you expose them on the bleeding edge of things, that they are going to be successful and prosper. And we've had students, we have two students that started with me my first year. They're now employed full-time at one of the most prestigious ad agencies here in town.
Are you at liberty to say those agencies?
Actually, they're both at McGarrett-Jesse in the video production department.
So if you're familiar with the landscape, Austin has become one of the meccas in the country for the advertising industry, and McGarrett-Jesse is one of the strong powerhouses who've actually made that possible. So they're working at a very prominent space.
Yeah, they're doing, helping on work for Shiner Bach, Whataburger, Costa, the glasses, Guitar Center.
So just before we go into the whole pitch thing, can you just really tell us the transformation that has happened with these kids? You told me a story about how one of your kids went to a film festival.
Well, we had actually one of the students that just got hired at McGarrett-Jesse. When I met him 5 years ago, he was very talented, and he's one of those examples when you put students in that environment where they have that exposure. I think he was 19 and he had 2 films premiere at the Cannes Film Festival in 1 year.
Wow.
So, and like I said, there's plenty of talent out there. It's really just about exposure.
So tell us, how was this experience going through the rigorous training and workshops that you worked with us on in the coaching sessions in order to get that pitch right? What did you gain value? How did you benefit from that process?
Well, I think it's just great to be able to talk to other people about your business or your venture, if you're whatever it is, and hear honest but supportive feedback. It helps you work out a lot of things. I have some trepidation about my actual pitch, but I think because I've been doing this for several years, and because I'm very passionate about it, I think that came through, and that allowed us to win the pitch competition.
So tell us, what has happened since the past 6 months? You won $5,000, and this was set up to go help E4 Youth expand its reach. What has happened?
I've just been kicking it. No.
You're not helping this out.
Oh, no. Actually, we put that money to work. A big part of what we do is we develop curriculum. So we have about 35 students right now. You'll see them in these YMP t-shirts. They're going around town, and they're actually covering South by Southwest. So we develop curriculum for 6 weeks, 8 hours a day. So 8 hours of team building, critical thinking, media literacy, content creation, and we train them so that they can be successful at covering South by Southwest. So that money really helped bridge the gap where I can pay my program director and I say, okay, I want you to just focus for the next 2 months on writing and developing this curriculum. And now we want to start to take the curriculum, that seed of the curriculum that he's developed, now we want to take that and implement it into the schools. So it's about bringing extra resources to teachers, staff development for them, college mentors to support them in the classroom. And these are teachers that serve creative youth. And what we've developed a relationship with South by Southwest is that students, by completing this sequence, they actually earn a gold badge for South by Southwest. So we had 34 kids earn badges this year. Those are the kids that you'll see walking around. Well, we'd like to be able to do that with hundreds of kids to have that type of opportunity. So by taking the curriculum and the process that we have and actually implementing it in classrooms, that's going to allow us to reach many, many more students and also, frankly, help transform the way that teachers teach. Teachers are overwhelmed, and we believe that great teachers teach people and not subjects. So what we want to be able to do is take some of the pressure off of them so that they can become more like the facilitator in the classroom, that they can sit back and they've got extra help and access to technology and best practices so that they can really leverage those things and be more of a concierge for their students. And because really it's about listening and observing your students and then suggesting things. You should meet this person. Have you checked this out? And what you start to see is that the students start to be self-directed. So much of their time is spent thinking about how do I regurgitate what I'm being told. And we know that in the real world, it doesn't really work that way. If you're in business and you're just regurgitating stuff, you're not making anything, and you probably don't have a job. And so we really want to prepare these kids for the 21st century. And we feel strongly that our approach, I mean, it's arts-based, but it's really about engagement and ultimately achievement for the students.
I want to leave everyone with an invitation. The goal is to truly build community. The goal is to help pay it forward. Last comments on what's the value of the Innovators Fund and the Fast Pitch and why we should try to engage the rest of the community and how we can create partnerships.
Well, I think the significance is that it helps give you some resources and tools, some coaching, also to feel like you're not alone. Sometimes, especially being a social entrepreneur, you know, when I started 6 years ago, I had a car and I had a laptop and I was on unemployment. Okay, so that can be very isolating, right? When you're really struggling to make your thing happen. So just to know that you're not alone in that process and meeting the other people that are pitching with you and building that sense of community is very valuable. And frankly, the money helps. You know, you can't do anything without money. And I went through a very, very deep, intensive process over the last year where we really totally reshaped our organization. And now we have a really firm foundation, a vibrant board of directors, and we're ready to really take off.
The people in this network, you guys who follow and become part of Awesome+SocialGood, you guys make this difference. And so I know it sounds like a little bit of a plug, but this is what this conference is about today, Me to the Power We. I hope you stay engaged. We're going to bring the next speaker on stage, but know that this is what the power of your action is doing. Thank you very much. Yeah.